I want to be royalty. I want to have power. So I'm learning about all of the monarchs in England, throughout history. It's the conquerors and the ones that inherited all of their wealth and glory. I guess I plan to do both. King James I. He was already King James VI of Scotland. You'd think that would be enough. But his cup overfloweth, and he inherited the English throne. So why did this happen? Simply because James was Queen Elizabeth I's closest eligible relative. James was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots. Elizabeth was actually sort of responsible for the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, but that's a different story for a different day. James became the King of England and the King of Ireland, and this was known as the Union of the Crowns, and James referred to himself as the King of Great Britain. King James was also responsible for a new version of the Bible, the King James Bible. How's that for being original? This book is a reflection of the intellectual that King James saw himself as. The book basically describes his views on witchcraft, of which he had an intense fear, and his pathological obsession led to the torture and death of thousands of people in Scotland. It was not a good time to be a witch under the reign of this guy. Scottish Parliament had actually made being a witch a capital offence right before James's birth. But James caused havoc and panic and destruction exactly 3 decades later, when he believed that his Danish bride Anne was being targeted by witches. He had a pretty wild imagination. Then came the witch trials, perceived witchcraft conspiracies, and all sorts of drama and chaos. Being a devout Protestant, King James had lunatic fringe devout Catholics trying to take him down. The goofball to end all goofballs was this guy named Guy Fawkes, who, with his Catholic cronies and conspirators, tried to take James out in the infamous failed Gunpowder Plot of 1605. This was not a well-executed plan to explode the House of Lords and kill the king, as the plotters were found out. Guy Fawkes was hanged, drawn, and quartered for his offense of high treason. On Guy Fawkes' night, Guy's effigy is burned on a bonfire and there are fireworks. King James died at the age of 58 in 1625. So King Charles I, he reigned for 23 years in the House of Stuart, starting with his daddy, King James I, and King Charles I's reign ended when Charles died in 1649 at the age of 48. Now when I say that Charles died, I mean that he was beheaded, he was executed. And what led up to this? Well, let's backtrack a bit, shall we? Charles I was the King of England, Scotland, and Ireland. He was upsetting the church and the government by acting like a Catholic. He married a Roman Catholic. He was also very unpopular because of his policies, such as the levying of taxes without parliamentary consent. This made him to be perceived as tyrannical. And the whole marrying a Catholic thing, coupled with lack of support for Protestant forces during the 30 Years' War, this led to hatred and distrust among many of the English Puritans, among others. So there was a big old civil war, push-pull between the Protestants and the Catholics. Charles's royalist supporters, the King's Cavaliers, ended up losing the English Civil War, which put them up against Oliver Cromwell's parliamentarian army. So who was this mysterious Oliver Cromwell? Well, he was an English statesman, he was a politician, and he was a soldier. He is a very controversial figure because of his use of the army to gain power politically, the brutality of his parliamentarian conquest in Ireland. This war led to famine, which was made worse by an outbreak of the bubonic plague, lots of loss of life. After Charles lost his head and the monarchy was abolished, Cromwell became Lord Protector, and he held this title during England's short period as a republic. The monarchy was restored when Charles's son, Charles II, took the throne in 1660.